As I was walking down the street one day, a man came.
Well, welcome in on a turbulent Tuesday morning. Wow. There are some days you plan a show and then poof, it all goes away because all hell breaks loose. Incredible story this morning. It broke, I guess, about an hour ago with a new memo of understanding. So it's going to happen, I think, but it's not all signed legal, totally in the books yet. But this morning, a memo of understanding was put forth by the PGA Tour, the LIV Tour, and the DP Tour, which is the European Tour. All three of those golf entities, golf leagues that are the best in the world, are all going to merge. Apparently, the oversight will still be done by the PGA Tour and their commissioner, Jay Monahan. However, the big investor in this new group are the Saudis and the PIF, which is the fund that has backed the LIV Tour. The PIF is the big investor, the money behind the new entity. How much hypocrisy can you get from the PGA Tour? Terrible money. 9/11. Wouldn't go near these crooks. All of a sudden, you're in bed with them. Crazy. What are the ramifications? Well, let's just take a look at what we know for sure with this new, by the way, for-profit league. Even though the PGA Tour itself will remain a 501c, which is a tax-exempt nonprofit, the new entity, which we have not seen a name yet, that new entity will be a for-profit league. All the litigation between the two ends. Reapplying for membership, if you were a player who took, by the way, $200 million or so from the rival tour, you will be able to reapply, and I suspect get back into the PGA Tour, which is good for the game of golf. You'll see Brooks Koepka again. You'll see Dustin Johnson again. You may see for a couple of minutes here Phil Mickelson, who, by the way, according to Greg Gaston, had a very interesting gaff thing that was put up with a turn of the face and a little wink and a smile. Here's one thing he did expose. There's no doubt in my mind about this. And I've said this now for several months when I saw all these designated events and 20 million purses with 3.6 million going to the winner. Where was all this before? Until the LIV Tour existed, the PGA Tour, a nonprofit, was keeping all the money. All of a sudden, they could do these kinds of things. That was exposed by Phil Mickelson. So Mickelson has every right in the world to gloat as much as he wants. But all these guys could come back. Patrick Reed. Now there won't be a question, can they play in the Ryder Cup? Seems to me they can, although none of this takes place until next year. The oversight of this new league will be by Jay Monahan. However, on the Board of Governors will be the guy who is the head of the PIF fund. So he's on the Board of Governors, or he may be a chair of it. I can't remember exactly how they will do this. So in some regards, you could say the LIV was a winner here. They elevated the purses for everybody. They're now heavily involved in world golf. The biggest loser in all of this might be Greg Norman, because Monahan's running it, and there is not a mention that I have seen of any attachment to Greg Norman. And I have heard in the past from guys that you think might know, they said if there was ever going to be a merger with these two, if this all was going to go away, Greg Norman would have to go away too. And I wonder if that will be the case. There's not been any kind of notification at all on Greg Norman that I can find in any of this.
An indication of maybe the contrary, too. And this is crazy for journalism as well. Apparently, CNBC had a pre-taped interview announcing all of this with Jay Monahan and whoever is the head of the other organization.
Yes, his. Let me see if I can find his. It's Yasir.
But remarkable too that CNBC. So they had this story, pre-taped the interview for when they decided to make the announcement. So essentially, they're sitting on a story of this magnitude. It is crazy to me in a modern day of journalism that they would respect the wishes of PGA and these companies in order to have that exclusive interview with them to sit on that story.
You know what? Deals are made.
That's right.
They'll say to you, all right, I'm going to let you break this story, but you've got to hold it until 9 o'clock Central Time on Tuesday, June 6th.
It's a Wojin Shams operate too.
You're going to go, because it's not getting out any other way.
Right.
And you want to be the one that breaks the story. CNBC did. Let me see if I can find this.
But I bring that up mainly to say Greg Norman not present during that pre-recorded interview too. So it seems like you're right. Greg Norman kind of stepping away from all of this.
The guy that has become the spokesperson for this entity during all of this, that will sit on this board. I'm still looking for his name.
I just had it here. I apologize. I should have kept it up there. I apologize.
It's Yasir. Governor Yasir Al-Rumayyan.
As good a guess as I would have had. But those are the two guys, and no Greg Norman.
No Greg Norman.
It's something.
Here's just some fearful thoughts on my part. This entity is going to be great. There's plenty of money. It's obvious. They're going to back it. All of a sudden, that's good money now. Not dirty money anymore.
No, and the quantity of it would seem to be
like
endless. A fake. It's a fake number. I mean, you can't even think of it.
It's endless. They don't care if they make money either. Although it's a for-profit league, it's going to be big profits for 70 elite golfers every year. I promise you that. But now that the Saudi, with this endless supply of money, is in power, I start to think, well, a lot of the way the tour has worked is that the sponsors have a lot of leverage. And let's be honest, would Memphis be a playoff spot if FedEx wasn't one of the key sponsors of the PGA Tour? All you have to do is look, what is the championship they play for? The FedEx Cup. What if that's no longer the FedEx Cup? What if that's just the new League Cup? Okay? Because they're not worried about the money. They got it from the Saudis. Now, we were all talking, Greg, Eli, and myself, all talking. Eli brings up a good point. It's going to be a European tour, right? These guys, part of their attraction to the new tour was they didn't have to play as much golf. They were going to make more money, play less golf. Good deal. Brooks Koepka, who was injured at the time, was all for playing less golf. I don't think Dustin Johnson wanted to play a whole lot of golf. So how many events will there be? Let's just say you have to play 16 to 18 events. Maybe there's 20 on this world tour, okay? And you get to miss 2 or 3 of them, 4 of them, whatever it might be. Some of those are going to be in Europe. Some of those are going to be in the Middle East. How many are going to be in America? You're not changing majors. I promise you, because the PGA is oversight of all this. So that's not going to change. Will there be the playoffs as we know them? How will that differ? I suspect that there still will be playoffs, but who knows the way they're going to do all of this? Will you bring guys from the different tours together, like a playoff that way? I don't know, because that could be a way to elevate the lower guys. Let's face it, there's going to be the 20 events that the World Tour, whatever this thing is called, will have. Then you're going to have the American edition. You're going to have the European edition, right? There's your 3 leagues. 2 of those leagues are going to be lower leagues. Some of the events on the PGA Tour that are now maybe even designated events are going to become upper-level Korn Ferry Tour events. We'll have to see what the purses are. I suspect the purses will be decent. Not the $3.6 million. That'll be for the World Tour, 70 guys. What happens, though, if they don't care about FedEx? They got their own Saudi money. And they got their own plans of what they're going to do, and Moynihan's got to go along with it if he's running everything. Does Memphis keep its status as a playoff event? Does it keep its status as a designated event? Does it keep any status? Because once FedEx loses clout, Memphis loses clout. And I'm not saying any of that stuff's going to happen because I don't know. But it makes you wonder because the sponsorship leverage goes down if the entity is totally funded already before you even have sponsors. And this, however, is a for-profit league, so maybe there will be the need for some big-time guys. But I don't know what this does to Memphis' status in the long run. And, folks, nothing to worry about for this year. But this thing starts next year. It's like they got to start making decisions and figuring this out right away.
It seems to me, though, the model for how to handle this kind of already exists, though, doesn't it? Because, even though they haven't had this connection point like this, the European Tour and the PGA Tour have kind of coexisted for a long time now, where, you have a guy like Lee Westwood, a top 5 player in the world for a period of time, essentially only plays on the European Tour, and then comes to play major championships here in America. So it could work that way, too, where each tour it works individually, and then all the leagues come together for a major championship, which theoretically wouldn't affect the FedEx Cup playoffs at that point.
Well, yeah, but that's not, this is going to be a world tour, right?
So you think they're going to play all together combined?
I think, and I don't know this for a fact.
Right.
I'm just guessing. My perception of all this is you're going to take the top 70 guys, and they're going to play all designated events. 20 million purses, 3.6 million to the winner, maybe it'll even be more. And those guys will have 20 opportunities every year. And that's a number I'm making up, but I think it'll be in that ballpark, where they'll be required to play in, say, 16 of them. Now, the other tours will be built, and they'll have more like the regular events that you've got now, where the winner gets, 1.8 million or something?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So there'll still be big events, but they're not going to be world tour events. Whatever the American side of it is, whatever the European side of it, those are the 2 leagues that will be built into. And then maybe you can progress. Maybe the winners, the top guys from each of those tours, plus the world tour plays in the playoffs. A lot of things to be decided.
It could be like a WGC, too, where that counts for your money event on the PGA and the European Tour. And if you're on one of the Asian tours, you get money towards those rankings when you play that event. It could be like that, too.
I would suspect that every one of those tours would feed into the OWGR, the world rankings.
Right.
So I would agree with that. Here's the other thing. Are they going to play 54 holes? They're going to play 72 holes, aren't they?
They're going to play 70 because that would be the odd man out.
If everybody played 54, now the OWGR would have to change their standards. I don't see that happening, especially since the competition oversight is being done by the PGA and its commissioner, Jay Monahan. And he's always felt, I think, that 72 holes is competition, 54 holes is an exhibition. Isn't that what we've heard all this time?
That's what they've been saying. A lot of words have to be taken back at this point, too. This is a very interesting combination of all these different leagues with the rhetoric that's been out there. It's not like just the PGA Tour and the European Tour coming together, because they've always kind of commingled and coexisted nicely and everything.
They're the same.
They're basically the exact same.
They've had a different commissioner.
Right.
But they're all the same entity. They're all the PGA Tour.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be PGA European.
That's right.
Then it became DP, and I don't know if that's a company. I'm not sure what DP stands for.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure DP is a company.
So, they just got a title sponsor that paid a lot of money, a little like FedEx does for the FedEx Cup. But they're all same family.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now this is all going to be the same family with a bunch of different folks.
It's going to be crazy.
And it was interesting to me, the wording was that they haven't figured out the total process, but the LIV members will be able to reapply for membership of the PGA Tour. Well, how are they going to be turned down? How, I mean, you're going to say to Patrick Reed, we're taking back Brooks Koepka, but you're a jerk. We don't want you? I mean, you can't do that.
Well, how would it and like so we're talking about it along the lines of the PGA Tour too. You'll still have the regular events, and then they'll play these combined events, like you're saying. So what? We're still going to have the Aces playing. That's the only team name I know in the LIV, and they're still going to be playing on Ion over the weekend.
That's another aspect. I doubt.
There's no way.
It's just like the 54 holes. Is there going to be team golf? I can't imagine that's coming in. I don't think that was a big hit. I think the players kind of liked it. But did the fans? Like you say, you only know one team? That's one more than I knew.
And the only reason I know it is because they went out of their way to wear their gear when they played in major championships.
Except for Koepka.
Except for Koepka.
But you know why Koepka didn't wear the others? Because Koepka kept his Nike deal.
Yeah, I hit the corporate.
So he had to make money.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like he didn't have enough already.
Yeah.
He took the guaranteed money.
After taking that money, that's true.
I mean, these are crazy times. I had set this up because the Tigers got another recruit. So tomorrow in this first segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the St. John's grad transfer, David Jones, and possible starting lineups for the U of M. That was what I was going to do this morning until all hell broke loose. Game 3, Miami and Denver tonight. Can't wait for that. And who will be the next Memphis baseball coach? Tim Doolin will join us at the final segment of this beautiful Tuesday that has suddenly changed so dramatically. Oh, and by the way, NHL last night, did you see any of it?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Your Florida Panthers, because you're a Florida Panther guy, right?
Yeah, they're on my power rankings. They're a second on my power rankings, to be exact.
Well, it's really crazy. It's like the NBA, a 1 versus an 8 seed.
That's right. Both in Miami, too, sort of Miami. Sunrise, Florida.
Where is Sunrise?
It's in.
Is that by the Hard Rock Stadium?
No. It's in the county north. It's
north.
Yeah.
They're all north.
Can't
go any further south unless you go to the Keys.
Well, but there, Dade County's down there, South Beach. It's Broward County's the name of it. So it's up north in the suburbs and stuff.
All right. They're Miami.
They're Miami, and
all they can do is muck things up. Do you know how many penalty minutes they have?
A ton, especially last game with the 10-minute misconduct.
They have already, in 2 games, which, by the way, Vegas can score 12 goals in 2 games. They're good. They're much better than Florida. All Florida can do is hold and trip and slash and high stick. 130 penalty minutes in 2 games. You know how many Vegas has? And a lot of that is 10-minute misconducts for retaliation. You know how many that is? 72. Almost half of what Florida can do. And honestly, that's what Florida has to do because they're not quick enough. They're not good enough to beat Vegas. They're an 8 seed for a reason. This Vegas team is pretty good. Guys, it's hard to believe they've been in existence 6 years. Last year was the only year they didn't make the playoffs. Only year. That's an incredible story. If we ever want to go look back, how did this team get built? Why is an expansion team so dominant from the very beginning? That it would be a great case study. Some of that is because of free agency and salary caps now. Things have changed from the old days when you expanded, where you took guys at the bottom of your roster.
Oh, yeah, you can't protect a lot of guys in hockey at all.
Now, because of considerations with contracts, you give away guys that are good players because you're not going to be able to retain them. That's got to be part of the way the Vegas success. But 6 years now, and even last year when they didn't make the playoffs, I think you brought this up, they were over 500 in the regular season. They've not had a bad year. It's unbelievable what a great case study that will be. So that's what we got for today. Already crazy. There is no longer a PGA LIV war. There's peace. Wonder what's going to happen to poor Brandel Champlain. He's like me. We were vocal against these guys. I got nothing to lose. Poor Brandel. Not so sure about all of that. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios as we always do. And now we've got the Come Out and Play sale. It just began. It goes through the 25th. School's out. Time to get out. Get out of the house. Enjoy your backyard. Pool starting at under $2,500. Play gyms 30% off. Huge selection of in-stock patio furniture. That's now up to $1,000 off. That's even better than the last sale they had. And all in-stock spas, same thing. A grand off with special financing available. All you got to do is get to I-40 and Wooden Road. That's where you'll find Family Leisure. You know our title sponsor, it's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, Mississippi, where they also sell Genesis cars and have a deal right now that if you were to finance through Genesis on a G70, that's the littler sedan, I call it a sports car or a rocket ship, you get a $1,000 rebate if you finance with Genesis. They're giving you money to do business with them at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis in Olive Branch. Back in a minute to Tampa we go. We'll get the take. Is he startled? TJ Reeves, who used to work for the PGA Tour Radio, he joins us in just a minute.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Whatever you do, don't buy an engagement ring or any piece of diamond jewelry until you discover the all-new Genesis Diamonds, opening very soon in Poplar Commons. Genesis Diamonds, no ordinary jewelry store. It's a global diamond powerhouse, started by former diamond wholesalers with rock-bottom prices on exquisite hand-selected diamonds and a selection that's up to 30 times other stores. This is a game changer for Memphis. The official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans has arrived with long overdue price relief. Genesis Diamonds guarantees to beat the price of any diamond you find at any other local jeweler. Period. Any size, any shape. Lab-grown or natural diamonds. Plus, at Genesis, you have access to the most sought-after ring designers in the world. Over 4,000 rings to choose from. All this plus a stunning showroom. Unbeatable warranties and guarantees. A no-holds-barred diamond education. No commission salespeople. And free service for life on any purchase. Genesis Diamonds. Opening very soon in Poplar Commons at Poplar and Perkins Extended. Genesis Diamonds, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
Join the NBA Finals action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can place a $5 bet and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can take a shot at bigger payouts with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code COLIN. New customers can place a $5 bet and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code COLIN. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Kansas, call 800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Opt-in and 10-plus leg required for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
I just saw this on Twitter. I don't know if I can believe this. J-Mo, Who's my favorite guy on the L.A. Lakers?
Austin Reeves.
Bingo. Because he's from around here. He's a good guy.
That's right.
I like him. Should have come here. I can't believe everybody missed on that game. Well, Tubby Smith was recruiting then. Guess who he is reportedly involved with now? Like, I never do gossip, but this is too good.
I can't even imagine.
Taylor Swift.
I
mean, he's about to get big money with his new deal wherever he goes, but there could be nothing bigger than to be with Taylor Swift.
That's true.
Holy cow.
The
world's going crazy today. I'm telling you. The LIV and the PGA Tour have merged, and now Austin Reeves is merging with Taylor Swift?
I got to do some reporting on this. I got to look into it.
Yeah, you got to get to the bottom of this. It's hot, folks. Going to get hotter and hotter as the summer goes on. Even those showers yesterday at TPC Southwind didn't stop the heat from coming back, and so you better make sure your air conditioning system is all set and ready for the challenge. And the way you do that is you call my guys at Conway, 384-3511. 384-3511. Conway Services is famous for the super tune-up. They come into your home, they put the little slippers on, and they're going to tune up 16 points in your system. Then they go outside, and they clean out all the grime and the leaves and the dirt from those outside units. They make you efficient. That means no breakdowns that are costly in the summer, and your house stays cool for your family. Your system will save you money on your MLGW bill when it's efficient, and it'll last longer. All you got to do is make that call. It's worth $69. Preventative medicine, chicken soup for your system. 384-3511, Conway Services. To Tampa we go, and I must confess, I broke the news today to TJ Reeves. I don't think he believed me until he had to go to Twitter to check it out. The hypocrisy of the PGA Tour. All of a sudden, that Saudi money's not so dirty, huh?
Yes. First of all, good morning. And you may have even trumped the LIV Golf PGA Tour stuff with that little nugget there about Taylor Swift. That'll get a lot more play on non-sports channels later today.
Yeah.
If there's something about there are free agent acquisitions, and then there's that, my friend. If he reels that fish into the boat,
that would be the best.
And by the way, her multi-city massive tour concludes where in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium for literally like 4 or 5 nights. So read into that what you will.
What is she making from this tour? Like $1 billion?
Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. It's amazing. Gotta be. It's amazing because she hasn't been on tour for like 4 or 5 years.
Like you can't buy a ticket for under what, $400 or $500 for that thing?
Well, it depends on where you're sitting. In the upper levels of these football stadiums, you can get them probably secondary market $200, $300 or $400. In the
$300 or $400 to sit in the nosebleed.
Sit in the nosebleed, right, in the top. So that's how big a deal that is. That's how big a deal she is. So let me set the scene. Speaking of the things that teenage girls care about, I am out right now in a multifaceted role, apparently trying to lock up Father of the Year in the Tampa Bay area, if not the globe, because I am off with my twin daughters and their friends at the Adventure Island Water Amusement Park here in Tampa, near Busch Gardens. Free plug for them, near the University of South Florida, where you broadcast Tiger games all the time, and I used to do the Bulls games, et cetera, right in the shadow of the Yuengling Center, what used to be the Sun Dome. Yep. So I am the chaperone, Wolo. I am the Uber. I am the holder of the money, of everything, while they go have fun at the water amusement park. I'm driving. I'm trying to get in the parking lot and the mayhem to get in the entrance, and my man Wolo is calling me and texting me, and I'm like, what's going on? And then my phone is just going bonkers, and it's still going bonkers. But, yeah, you did say to me, have you seen this stuff about the PGA Tour and the LIV Golf Tour merging? Who woke up on Tuesday morning with this on the bingo card, Dave Woloshin?
CNBC, that's who.
How about that? And so I have not seen the full conversation that was had a little while ago with Jay Monahan and the head of the PIF fund, the Saudi fund. Mm-hmm. But the mere symbolism of him sitting there with the very people they were vilifying a year ago. And you and I have been on opposite sides of this all along. And one of the things that I've continued to maintain is I'm all for great golf. And obviously these guys were having problems with the PGA Tour, with Jay Monahan specifically, with the tour on payouts and on not feeling like that they were being heard or listened to on different things they wanted done. So they go start this other tour. And the PGA Tour commenced a campaign to vilify them, to absolutely vilify anybody associated with them over blood money, over how do you accept money from the Saudi Arabians. And Jay Monahan is sitting there this morning on national television with the head of that fund, because as long as it's in the PGA Tour's financial interest to do this deal, it's okay wherever the money comes from. And I think the take that I've seen now a lot on social media, and it's evolving here over the last hour, is a lot of these guys on the PGA Tour feel probably completely sold out by all of this. They feel 100% sold out on the moral high ground of we're going to attack them on blood money, and now we're going to go into business with them for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars because it's in our interest to do that and to have all the litigation go away. An amazing Tuesday, Wolo.
I don't know how many of there are of these, but there are a couple. Like maybe Matthew Fitzpatrick comes to mind. Maybe Victor Hovland comes to mind, where they were offered the guaranteed $100 to $200 million, right?
Yes.
And they said no.
Will Zalatoris was another one, offered over $100 million.
Right. No, we're not going to do that. So they end up really the bigger losers, because they could have gotten the money and gotten their membership back the same way Koepka's going to, the way Patrick Reed is going to. I mean, it's Cam Smith, another guy, of course, who's going to cash in on that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and it's good for all of us golf fans to see these guys competing with one another again. But, I mean,
here are the takeaways.
It's crazy.
Here are the takeaways. The first thing is this means that the acrimony, the lawsuits are over, and all the best golfers will now play in the biggest events on either tour, because they're going to welcome all of these guys back if they want to come play in the Players' Championship, if they want to come play and they're qualified somehow, some way for the PGA Tour playoff, they're going to be allowed to do that. And the other victory for the Live Golf, in addition to the financial, is they're going to get World Golf ranking points out of this. And they're going to be able to stay on their own tour and still exist for major championships, which, again, the PGA Tour has no say-so, even though they were leaning hard on them. And so now, man, this is it's fluid, it's crazy, but this is an amazing day in this niche, in this world, because the Live Golf guys won today. A year after all of this started, they have won completely, because they're going to be allowed to be on their tour and on the PGA Tour, and they all get to keep their money, like you pointed out. I was thinking of this, and I've texted with a couple of different people here on this. Feel great for somebody like Harold Varner. Harold Varner, who's a rank-and-file player on the PGA Tour, who made a financial decision and was vilified within the tour, people telling him he's a sellout, all kinds of things. He goes onto this tour and wins a $4 million first prize a couple of weeks ago. And now he's going to get to come back and play on the PGA Tour. Feel great for people like that took the risk and made the decision to go and do this, and now it's going to pay off for them big time. And ultimately, fans of the game of golf win out. I had somebody text me a little while ago, what does this mean for the Ryder Cup? My quick answer, everybody's playing. Everybody's playing.
No doubt. There's no question about that. Here's what I'm worried about.
So we all win.
Here's what I'm worried about. Maybe. The one guy that I know is a loser is Greg Norman, because I don't see his name anywhere.
You are correct. And by the way, the head, just to clarify, because you and I were talking off the air, and I said I don't see his name anywhere in the statements, the head of the PIF fund revealed in that interview on CNBC, this was an orchestrated interview this morning. CNBC apparently found out about this last night or this morning. All of this was orchestrated this morning.
Right.
The head of the PIF fund said Greg Norman found out just a few minutes ago when we called everybody right before this interview. That means he hasn't been involved in any of this, and he is likely out. So there's that update.
I would say definitely he is out. Here's what I worry about. You know, how many events can this top world tour yet to be named, that's the merged tour, how many events can they have? How many will be in the United States? How, when you've got the Saudi money behind you, how much clout will sponsors have? What will the future of the Memphis event?
Right.
Because FedEx has the clout to keep it here. What happens with those kinds of things? That's still to be determined.
Well, and there's several more layers to this. There are tournaments that need sponsors. One of them is the Byron Nelson. You used to be out in Dallas.
Right.
I've been out in Dallas. They're looking for a sponsor. Jay Monahan made clear that the sponsor that they were looking at having was not going to be allowed because, again, it had ties to Saudi Arabia. That was 3 weeks ago.
Well, now they can have him.
How's the tune changed now, Wolo, on a Tuesday on where we're going to take the money from? I would not be concerned with the rank-and-file PGA Tour events in the short term surviving. They've got hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars flowing through the PGA Tour, and that was the Live Guy's point, was that you need to be sharing more of this with us. We don't need to be having cuts anymore. This is not the 1960s, 70s, and 80s business model anymore. We need to have a greater proportion of prize money according to what you're making. And by the way, they got the PGA Tour to do that for all the guys that stayed behind when the Live guys left. They got those concessions from the PGA Tour. So everybody makes out in this, and it's truly a wild, wild day, especially the symbolism of Monahan sitting there with the head of the PIF fund.
Right.
And as long as it's in their business interest, we got no problem taking the blood money. And hopefully the golf media is all over Monahan about that. I'm not talking about the Golf Channel, which is in business with the PGA Tour. I'm talking about the golf media that cover this should be all over him. And the last chapters aren't written
100%
because the players,
agree.
there are a bunch of players on the PGA Tour right now that have to believe we were sold out in all of this. We were misled and lied to about, blood money. Don't go there. You're never going to get to play here. And now look what happens a year later. So more chapters to be written.
You know what? Honestly, the biggest winner of all this is Phil Mickelson. Because Phil Mickelson, to me, as soon as Monahan found the money to do the designated events, $20 million purses, $3.6 million to the winner, all for the top players that remained, he exposed Monahan and the PGA Tour, a not-for-profit that had the money the whole time.
Well,
so he had exposed them already, and now Monahan looks even worse because Monahan always talked about the dirty money from Saudi, 9/11, all this other stuff, and now they're his main investment.
Sure, as long as it's in our financial interest, then all of that has gone away. So you've ceded the moral high ground on that. And I think what we just come back to one more time, as golf fans, don't you want the best to be playing in the biggest events and in the majors? And you're going to have that. You're only going to have that anyway because the PGA Championship, the USGA, and the Open Championship, the R&A, we're all saying at least for this year, if these guys are qualified, we're not going to hamper our own event. We're going to have them all come and play. When the Ryder Cup is played later this year, you want the best playing against the best. That's why we watch. So I'm glad that all of this is being resolved, but the final chapters are not written here. In particular, if the rank and file of the PGA Tour rises up, it could be not only Greg Norman bye-bye out of the LIV equation, which it looks like, but it could be bye-bye Jay Monahan as well.
Well, at this point, he's the CEO. And we should, and let me point this out. There
are a lot of people in charge that didn't stay in charge very long when they thought they were going to stay in charge. Just stay tuned.
Yeah, well, ask Greg Norman. Anyway.
His players, by the way, run and make up that tour. And if enough of them feel like that they were betrayed, that's the word I'll use, by all of this, then he's not going to last either. If Greg Norman can be ousted, Jay Monahan can be ousted, let's see what happens.
Well, and let's not go crazy totally yet because none of the details have all been ironed out. We haven't seen any of those. And in fact, if we're really being honest, this is not a set-in-stone document. This is a memo of understanding at this point. Not that it won't happen, but it is a memo of understanding at this very moment. Let me switch gears very quickly, just for a minute or two. Vegas up 2-0 on the Panthers from Florida.
I can't see J-Mo. Does he have a black armband on right now, or is he still optimistic about the Panthers?
He's been crying all morning.
No, we're fine. Haven't even lost a game on their home ice yet. Series is far from even starting.
They've given up 12 goals in 2 games. All they can do is muck it up. They've already got 130 in penalty minutes. It's crazy.
And
but here's my question.
They were behind. Look, they were behind 3-1 to Boston and turned that whole thing around in one overtime game. So it's not completely over yet. But you better show up big in Game 3.
Well, I don't think they're good enough to do it. I really do not, based on these first 2 games and the quickness of Vegas. Here's my question for you, though. Vegas has been in existence 6 years?
Correct.
They've only missed the playoffs once last year, and they were still over 500.
Correct.
Is this a case study for modern day times of how you take an expansion team and make it relevant right off the bat. It's incredible.
And part of it was the expansion draft rules had changed, and they took advantage of that. They've had free agency money that they've spent well and smartly in goaltending, although the goaltender they have is one of 5 goaltenders they've played this year. This Aiden Hill kid was not even a starting goaltender even as recently as the last 2 weeks of the regular season. But they've gone to him, and he's played well here in the postseason, and it's going to be bonkers in Vegas. It's going to be absolutely bonkers in Vegas if they can get this as a sports market. So we'll see. And you've got the NBA Finals also coming to Miami. It's the first time, because I know Golden State and San Jose were in the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals together in 2016, but San Jose is not part of San Francisco, Oakland. It's about 40 miles to the south.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the Panthers Arena is about 30 miles north of Miami proper, where the Heat play, but you're about to have both of those there this week. How crazy is that? You got to go back to the Knicks and the Rangers, like we talked about last week on your show, 1994, when they played in the same building, Madison Square Garden. So NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, both about 4 hours from where I'm standing right now to the south and the east in Miami. We'll see what happens, my friend.
And they're both 8 seeds, which makes it incredible in its own right.
And we don't say never very often. You're never going to see 2 8 seeds qualify to go into the next round or into the finals by beating the 1 seed on their home floor. And in both cases, it's Miami beating Boston in a Game 7 on their home floor or home ice to help that happen. This is astounding stuff, what has happened this year, and they're going crazy in Miami.
There's no doubt about it. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk next Tuesday.
Always good to be with you. Thank you for keeping me up to date. I'm back to chaperoning. Yeah. I'm back to Ubering. I'm back to paying for lunch.
Are you not getting down the slides or anything like that?
No. I'm in charge of the stuff, and I'm in charge of the money, and I'm in charge of the ride home. I know my role, my friend. You know how it works.
We all have to know our role. Thank you.
Be well.
TJ Reeves, brought to you in part by Ken Garland. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. He knows it's a big commitment you're making. He does. You are building that dream home. Or maybe you're trying to acquire some land. He's got it. Maybe you're not sure what to do with the land you've gotten. Maybe it's passed down from generation to generation. Nobody did anything. He knows. He and his dad have been in the business. Now his dad, of course, has passed, but they've been together doing business. It's a 70-year period where there's Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Go see on the website, kengarland.com, what I'm talking about, and then call. Whether it's a renovation with all the modern amenities, I called it renovation with innovation, or you're building that dream home, you'll see him all over kengarland.com, and then you'll want to call him. 751-1632. He's a fun guy to see and talk with because he sees the little details in the big picture all at once. Not many guys can do that. Perfect for that dream home builder. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. And this portion of the show brought to you by Miramichi, where don't ask for any memberships anymore. They're sold out. Man, they've done a good job. And they've got some new breaks. Go on their website. You will find they've got some daily breakdowns pertaining to times where you can get cheaper prices. They're really doing quite well out there, and you got to go see why. It's beautiful. It really is. Beautiful place. The back nine's like taking a walk through the woods with a meandering stream and a waterfall and some tough golf or fun golf. 5 different tee boxes can change about 2,500 yards worth of competition. You'll love everything about Miramichi in Woodstock, 12 minutes north of downtown. We pause for a second. When we come back, we'll talk baseball, the shocking news about Carrick Jackson leaving for Missouri. Our friend Tim Doolin, former Tiger baseball player, will check in with where the Tigers may be heading. Where will they turn to for the next skipper? He's got some insight when we return.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced. Let our professional parts people test your battery for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I have so many people tell me they hear my ads on this station and that they want to know if I'm really as bad a golfer as everyone says. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. And yes, I hate to say I am. I wish I were in my 90s because I could then tell people I shoot my age. But being a bad golfer is not terrible because I devote so much of my time to selling homes to keep my clients happy. Over the many years in the real estate business, I developed a highly successful strategic marketing program, not merely a listing program. Using preparation, presentation, and proper pricing, it works. If you're thinking of selling, talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and make sure that I am one of them. Find out why people often say that when you want the job done, call Shell Dunn. That's Shell Dunn Rosengarten, 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. Do it now. Shell Dunn, 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
Say there was a place, the perfect place for everything you need for tailgates and patios. Grills and chairs, charcoal and coolers. Everything to make a great game or a great day. That perfect place wouldn't be a warehouse. It's East Memphis Ace Hardware. Locally owned and operated at Quince and White Station, East Memphis Ace Hardware is where you'll find Benjamin Moore paints, local plants from local growers, and Black & Decker tools. Around the block, what you need in stock with people who know their tailgates. Welcome to East Memphis Ace Hardware, the home convenience store.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As we try to gather ourselves and get over this merger with the LIV and the PGA Tour, there was other shocking news. I don't know if it's as shocking as this, but the Tigers lost their baseball coach after 1 year, Carrick Jackson, going home to Missouri, where he'd been an assistant. He's from St. Louis to begin with. I'm sure he got a lot more money to go to the SEC. What will the Tigers do when it comes to baseball? Well, there's no better college baseball guy to turn to, former Tiger baseball player, head of the entire Doolin Dodger National Organization, than our Tim. So, what the heck happened? You weren't shocked that Carrick Jackson left, were you?
No, not really. I mean, Carrick obviously brought in a lot of energy, a lot of structure, and made a huge amount of progress in a very short period of time. And anytime that happens, it doesn't go unnoticed from, the national scene. And he's getting an opportunity to go back to Missouri, where he kind of originally started as a recruiting coordinator, and get into the SEC. And obviously, I'm sure he got rewarded financially as well. And so I think that we should be excited for him, although it's disappointing that we lose him after just 1 year.
He did change that culture. He brought some players in. Some, of course, are leaving anyway because of loss of eligibility. I'm sure, as always, when there's a coaching change, some will go into the portal. Some may be going with him to Missouri. For all I know, the guy that hired him, Blair, was the assistant AD here for baseball, and he went to Missouri and then brought Carrick Jackson. What do you expect will be some of the transitions that we'll witness here in the next few weeks?
Well, I'm sure Laird Beach and his staff are, fully aware of the urgency of trying to not lose momentum and not lose current players in the organization to the portal, as well as the urgency of trying to identify the best candidate to come in and continue the growth and going in the right direction with the program, because the portal just opened up. On Monday. And so it is literally the wild, wild west. My phone's getting blown up with guys that we represent, as well as guys that are current college players that are trying to figure out what they're going to do. So it's just a lot of moving parts. And again, I'm very confident that the administration is well aware of the sense of urgency that needs to take place to find the next guy to get in the portal, keep the guys we want to keep, and again keep the momentum going that Carrick and his staff was able to create and get started. I know that Julian Henson, who's the recruiting coordinator currently, is kind of in charge of things, and I'm sure he's on the phone trying to keep commits to hang with them and try to keep the current players intact until they get something worked out with the next head coach.
Did they have a good recruiting class coming in?
I think they did. Yeah, I think they did, and I know they had identified some guys that or what their needs are, i.e., in the portal. I know they signed a power hitting left-handed hitter that's kind of a Max Muncy clone that led the junior college circuit in home runs. That formerly played with us, Josh Livingston, which is a really, really good left-handed bat that they've added that'll bring in some more additional power. So yeah, I think they've got some good guys coming in. Again, they got to hope to keep those guys.
What would you like to see in the next Memphis baseball coach?
I think a guy that, again, I think where we are with the NIL and the portal and all that, I think you got to bring in a guy that's established and has a pedigree of being able to develop players, because I truly believe that if you go out and get a guy that wasn't out of high school, a Power 5 type of an arm, let's say his velo was not, conducive to being that guy right out of high school, and so he goes to a mid-major. He gets into the weight room and gets stronger, and all of a sudden he blows up. We got to have someone that's in place here that can convince those guys to stay with us. Help build something and help continue that kid's progress to allow him to continue to develop and put himself in a position to get drafted. If not, it's just going to be a constant turnover. I do think that if you go out and get a young recruiting coordinator, he's going to be doing the same thing that Carrick Jackson was doing, and he's looking for his next job, and you can't blame him. So I think you got to try to find a combination of someone that's got the credibility in the industry. I don't know, who's out there, but I'm sure Laird's phone's getting blown up with guys that want to interview for the job because they've seen, I think, a taste of what Memphis baseball could be. They definitely won more games than they did in the last year. The facilities, if you haven't seen them, have a huge upgrade and have made, I think, the Memphis baseball, up to par with the other mid-major baseball organizations out there. So I do think that getting a blend of a guy that has network, but more than anything, a guy that's more of a veteran type of guy that hopefully is not looking for his next job when he gets here, and a guy that has a proven track record to develop young players and helping them get reach their dream of getting drafted someday.
What kind of a raise do you think Carrick Jackson got to go to Missouri?
I don't know, Wolo. I think typically the norm in the SEC. I'm not going to say you can't really compare the Mississippi States and the LSU's and the upper end. Those guys are making over $1 million. I'd say that he's probably going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of anywhere from $450,000 to $600,000. So that it's a substantial raise. I'm not sure what he was making at Memphis, but I can assure you that it's a pretty big raise.
Well, here's I bring up that question, and your point is well taken about getting an established guy that wants to be maybe a head coach, that will stay and doesn't just wants to be a head coach, and this is it. Maybe an older guy. I don't know. Because if you think about it, what do you think Carrick Jackson's pitching coach is going to make at Missouri?
He's going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000 probably.
And that is probably
I know
more. What do you think the next Memphis coach will get? A couple hundred? 250?
The head coach or the
head coach? No, the head coach.
Yeah, I don't know.
My point is this: a pitching coach in the SEC is probably going to make more than the head coach at Memphis, which makes this a very hard deal for a guy like Laird to get somebody who's going to stick around.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. It's difficult, and so again, I think there are going to be guys that are going to apply for the job that you've got to look at all those things. If I were in that position, you don't want to be constantly having turnover, because then you're going to get a history of kids not coming here because they're going to say, well, this guy's only going to stay a year or two.
Right.
And it's hard, to do that. It's almost like, years ago, coaches would leverage getting a multi-year contract because they could say, I got to be able to keep my recruits. Well, now with the portal, that throws a whole wrench in everything. And again, you can't blame those young coaches for trying to take this job to build up their credibility.
And Carrick Jackson for going and doubling his money or more.
Absolutely not.
And going back home. He's from St. Louis, for goodness sake, and was a coach there as an assistant for 5 years. He knows Columbia, Missouri.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Tim Doolin, as always, we appreciate it, and maybe we'll talk a little next week about Major League Baseball, because, we've played 60 games or so, got about 100 to go, so you really kind of know what's going on. And the Pittsburgh Pirates lead in the National League Central. Just food for thought.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. They're a little bit like the Marlins, but I don't know. The Pirates have done this to us before, kind of teased us till the All-Star break, and then they kind of falter and get back down to reality. So they do have a lot of good young players where they haven't in the past. I think McCutcheon coming back has put some experience in that clubhouse and kind of leading the way on how things are supposed to be done. And so they're playing really good fundamental baseball right now.
I'm beginning to think more and more the National League Central just stinks. It's a bad division.
You might be close to being accurate there.
Yeah, okay. Have a great week. We'll talk next Tuesday. Thank you.
All right, Wolo, thanks.
That's Tim Doolin on baseball. Doesn't get any better than that. And he's brought to you by somebody who'll take care of you. That's Matt Eflin. He's another Tiger guy. And his Matt Eflin insurance number is GER, because he likes the Tigers. 901-386-4777. That spells GER. He's the kind of guy that wants to get to know you and then figure out how to protect you. It's called collaboration on insurance. He'll get down with you, sit down, talk to you, get to know your family, and then figure out what's the perfect life insurance. Maybe an auto program. Maybe you got a kid about to get his license. Maybe you're looking for that perfect mortgage insurance. He's got it all. He gets to know you and what your budget is, and then protects you. Same thing with small to mid-sized businesses. If you need commercial insurance, he'll know your company, your product, your employees, what your budget is, and then he picks out the perfect protection. 901-386-GER. That's the number for the Eflin Insurance Team. We'll talk tomorrow a little more golf with Mickey and with Johnny Lyon. We'll make some picks. Wow, this news today was absolutely stunning with the LIV and the PGA Tour. And we got plenty of surprises. We'll go over what we think the Tigers basketball starting lineup might be. All coming your way tomorrow, but Johnny Radio comes your way in